Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Q&A edition of Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1000. Wow, what a number. Everyone, I can't thank you enough for all the support you've shown this show, both during my tenure and before I came along when Joss was narrating, for those who remember that. It is an absolute privilege to be a part of Optimal Living Daily and to be here with you guys each and every day. It is truly a blessing. And I can assure you that everyone behind the scenes here is loving, grateful, and really tries to exemplify the lessons that we read to you guys about across the whole network. And we get our inspiration from you. You know, it's easy to be happy with what you do when you see so many people showing up, wanting to learn, wanting to believe, and wanting to make their own lives better as well as the lives of others. So, truly, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And do know that we are going to be here doing our best for you for as long as we possibly can. Now, on to the task at hand. Don't want to start getting all teary-eyed over here. We have another Q&A episode for you on this very special day. This time it's about friendships, very important relationships that to me are still severely underrated. But like any relationship, sometimes they do have to end. And our asker today is wondering if it's time for her to end her friendship with a longtime friend. Let's see what she has to say about the situation, help her out as best we can, and start optimizing your life. There is a friend of mine who always tries to put me in my place for no reason. She's always correcting me over insignificant things. She'll get upset with me for not being PC enough for her, and if I ever make a small mistake, she'll get on my case. What bothers me is we've been friends our whole lives, and she knows that I mean no harm. I also never get upset with her because I know she's a good person too. But I'm starting to think enough is enough. Is it time to end this friendship? Oh boy, I have a feeling there are more and more rifts like these among friends lately as the political world continues to turn and turn. Yep, wonderful question. Thank you for sending it in and trusting us with it, as always. I understand the frustration. This is a hard place for you to be in, especially considering there's a lifelong friendship to consider. But more and more these days, we're each putting up with less. We're quicker to keep tabs on our own freedom and quicker to remove all forms of disrespect towards us. This is not a bad thing. I'm proud of you for looking after your own well-being and being willing to put that before a lifelong friendship. That has to happen sometimes, so that's very big of you. I caution you, and any person in a similar situation, however, to not get carried away into thinking that this necessarily is an attack and warrants an entire upheaval of your life. Yes, you've considered the friendship, but have you acted fairly towards it? You mentioned your friend puts you down for no reason. That's silly, okay? Of course she has a reason, you just don't see it yet. And she's probably thinking that you react badly to her behavior for no reason. But you have a reason too, and like you, she doesn't know what it is yet. So, no, it's not time to end the friendship, it's time to communicate. Anytime we feel under attack, like we're being bullied or disrespected, it's all too easy to see the exchange from our perspective alone and be blind to the fact that most of the time, it's not about an attack at all. It's about two people expressing themselves differently. It's this short-sightedness that ends far too many relationships that either end too soon or should not end at all. The self-defense we're collectively becoming aware of, again, is a good thing, but this is how and when it gets taken too far. You have to talk to your friend before anything. If you both talk openly, you both stand to discover a lot about one another. Maybe she realizes she's being overly sensitive. Maybe you realize you are being more insensitive than you thought. Maybe you discover something about her that subconsciously fuels an ongoing need for control. Maybe you discover something about you that is giving you a reason for wanting to end the relationship which has nothing to do with this particular situation. Neither of you would identify yourselves as bullies, yet here you are, thinking the other one is a bully for different reasons. You got to figure out that middle ground. You got to figure out what's going wrong and where it's going wrong. In the case of lifelong friends, differences like these usually just mean people showing love in different ways. You clearly have different standpoints, and this means different means of expression, naturally. Even lifelong friendships still have to change over time, so, this is really just par for the course. You've already made it through trying changes, whether you didn't realize it or maybe just forgot about it. What about that whole puberty thing? Pretty sure a lot of changes happen around then that you had to get through together. And here you are, still friends. Your friendship is simply going through another revolution as your tolerance changes and as your friends' need to be firm changes. If you have a dialogue about this, you'll likely come to the conclusion together that neither of you mean any harm. Or, of course, maybe you won't. Maybe everything I've said up until this point will prove to be sheer nonsense and the friendship absolutely has to end. But here's the thing. Neither of you owe the other one a friendship, no matter how long it's been. What you do both owe yourselves, however, is peace of mind. And that will only come from doing the best you can to try to keep the relationship afloat. That means putting your egos aside, talking like adults, and not being on the defensive all the time. Now, if you entertain this idea, you will find two realistic scenarios in which the relationship could and should actually end as you've suspected. The first scenario in which the friendship should end is if you do have the conversation and there is still no progress made. If, even with a good effort, neither of you respect the opinion of the other or the expression of that opinion. Sometimes, people just drift apart, and relationships that end with a mutual understanding of that are often much less painful and much less likely to have regret come back and bite later. The second scenario in which the relationship could and should end is if one or both of you is not even willing to have this conversation that I just alluded to. If after this whole episode you're thinking to yourself that this communication would be worthless, she wouldn't listen, or she should be the one that comes to you, then your mind is already made up, isn't it? It's clear there's a difference between you now, and if you close the door on that difference, unwilling to discuss it, you'll only be less prepared the next time the cycle of your friendship changes again and a new difference is established. And the same goes for her. You don't want a friend who is unwilling to hear your side of this and unwilling to have a discussion. A relationship absolutely will not be healthy under those circumstances, period. Communication and growth, they go hand in hand. If there is no willingness to communicate, it was over before you even sent the question in, and it's best for both of you. Asker, thank you so much for sending this question in. Thank you all for listening as well. Please, guys, do yourselves a favor and do not get too riled up before making big decisions like ending a friendship. There are likely plenty of thoughts you would see from an outside perspective, but you can't see from an inside perspective. So reach out. Try to see it from the standpoints of others if you're feeling particularly offended, and only remove yourself if you first made a valiant effort to see where others are coming from. That's going to be the new rule around here, and we're going to stick to it. Questions of your own can be emailed to us at advice@oldpodcast.com. Yes, any questions that you have that you're struggling with, if you need some help or if you need an extra shoulder to lean on, we are here, and you can email your questions to us at advice@oldpodcast.com, and we will get them answered for you as best we can. That's going to do it for now, though, everyone. So have a great rest of your day. Many thanks for helping us to get to 1,000 episodes here on ORD. And here's to 1,000 more. 1,000 plus more. We start the trek tomorrow in 1001. That's where your optimal life awaits.